back down.
That's why I brought it to you.
Went all the way to Canada to get it from me.
Absolutely. I went all the way to downtown Colorado Springs.
This is one of 857 reasons I love you.
Well, thank you very much.
You went all the way to
I'm
Canada.
going to give you 858.
You went all the way to Canada to get me whiskey because they wouldn't let me in the fucking country.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the industry. Because,
Ready?
Cut.
You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
We always talk about that, right? Guys get in the business for time and money freedom. They have neither time nor money nor freedom.
The guy asked me, he's like, what do you know about air conditioning? No clue. He's like, well, the tall ones are furnaces, the short ones are air conditioners. Seem like a good dude. Let's bring you in.
A deep sea burning desire that becomes part of your DNA. Are you going to do it when it becomes hard?
Good looking stuff, Gare.
Thanks, Wally.
It's Canadian whiskey, huh?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you bringing it down for us.
It's my pleasure.
You know, Drew and I were talking earlier about it's been kind of a crazy year for you, by the way.
A little bit.
A little bit. We'll talk about that too, because I want Gary to hear the whole story about, I know he knows what happened with John, but also with you lately. We'll talk about that, because that's pretty big stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting, because we were talking earlier about how that has affected how you want to help contractors, not just in the business, but in the mind, the body, the spirit.
Yeah.
Would you tell Gary what happened?
Oh, I guess it's about 3.5 weeks ago or so, July 20th. I'll never forget that date. Was on vacation, woke up one morning on vacation in Myrtle Beach the day after we got down to Myrtle Beach, and wasn't feeling good. And I'd lost my older brother 9 months ago, as you know, to a heart issue, heart arrhythmia, which was more of a genetic thing, an electrical thing going on with his heart. Lost my younger brother at 38, which was just over 13 years ago. His was a heart attack due to blockage. And so I wake up and not feeling real good. And a younger, stupider me would have, when asked if I should go to the hospital, would have said no. But I was with my girlfriend, and I was restless enough in bed that I woke her up, and she asked me if I felt okay, and I said no. And she says, you want to go get checked out? And I said, yeah, let's go get checked out. She says, that way we rule out anything. We can enjoy the rest of our vacation. It's the first day of our vacation. Let's rule out anything. And I said, yeah, let's go. Woke up, went to brush my teeth, went back to look out the window, because people were just kind of getting on the beach, and we had a great view from the 27th floor of the hotel, and boom, down I went. And
Crazy.
yeah, that's the last thing I remember. Of course, I know the whole story because it's been retold to me by Kim, but. Yeah, I suffered a heart attack, ventricular fibrillation. Can't even say that.
Said that 3 times fast. After some Canadian whiskey.
Have a little more Canadian whiskey, Drew. That you won't care whether or not you can say that.
Fibrillation.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Once you say it, you can't.
Fibrillation.
Once you suffer it, you can't say it, right? So, yeah.
Hey, we're laughing now. We could be crying.
I had 100% blockage and 98% blockage in another artery.
And they had to hit you with the paddles and the whole thing in the ambulance, right?
I went into
You were gone,
sudden
though.
cardiac arrest at that point.
You were gone. You
You were technically gone, right?
I was gone. Yeah.
You had transcended this world to the next.
Twice in the hotel room, twice in the...
Oh, they hit you with the paddles in the hotel room too?
Twice.
And then twice in
the ambulance.
Probably some adrenaline.
And once in the ER. Yeah, because they lost me 3 times.
Holy cow.
So now, here's the interesting thing. 95% of the people who suffer a heart attack will survive. 95% of the people who suffer a heart attack with sudden cardiac arrest die. So I'm in the 5 percentile of people who survive what I went through. Very fortunate, got 2 stents, cleared out the blockage, heart's in great shape now, so I came back stronger than ever. I feel great. I lost some weight. I'm focused on diet, exercise. Thank you. So, yeah, it's been an interesting few weeks, as you said. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's been an interesting year for you. You've been through a lot, and he's still with us.
Glad he is.
Yeah.
I'm the last Cameron in the industry. There were 6 of us in, and I'm the last one still here.
Wow.
And
you better get your son in the business or something.
You and Kim better get busy.
So we are. So the mission takes on new meaning. The mission of why I do what I do takes on new meaning. It was not just to live a legacy of myself and my brothers and my family, but it's now to leave that legacy as well. But I see the hard lives that contractors live and the struggle that a lot of them go through, just not only business wise, but health and relationship and fitness and nutrition. And
we always talk about that, right? Guys get in the business for time and money freedom. They have neither time nor money nor freedom.
And sometimes don't even have health.
Right.
Right. My dad had his heart attack in the contracting business at 59. Still with us, thankfully, but since retired, mom's retired.
That's interesting, Gary, because he was saying earlier, because of the situation with the heart attack, that his purpose for working with contractors is like gone to a whole new level. Not just about the business side, but about the personal side. And you've always been big into personal development. I met you, I don't know, 16, 17, you got my first job in the industry from this guy. Yeah. And you and I talked about mindset and personal development like the very first time you interviewed me. I'm curious, Gary, you've been in this industry for a long time. A couple weeks.
1983.
1983. And
when I graduated high school.
Started when he was 3.
Not quite.
Just along the lines of what Drew was talking about, how important you think the mindset is? I mean, obviously you're a business consultant, a business expert, I get it. But how important do you find the mindset to be with contractors?
It's undervalued with the contractor, but I think, in answer to your question, it's probably the single most important thing. I mean, it's where everything starts. That's probably where the weakness is, though, is we don't give it enough attention. We don't spend enough time thinking about what we're thinking about. And, I mean, just the whole health question comes up. People have accused me personally of being a food Nazi. And, historically, when I run meetings and different things, I won't serve foods that are really bad for you at all and so forth. And I've been in fitness and sports my whole life. But it goes back to that particular problem, which is, if you do a little bit over a long period of time, it adds up to a lot. And the mindset, I think, is the same thing. Is you really gotta focus on what it is that's important.
As much as we all travel, and I'm in the worst shape of the three of us for sure. But I have my little routine that I do, my yoga, my meditation, and blood pressure's good. Cholesterol's a little high, but working on that. But it takes a lot of endurance to travel and to work and to be in 2 or 3 hotels every week, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, 6 airports. And so it takes that kind of focus and determination. Tell me what the industry means to you, Gary.
Well, that's a great question. For me, it's pretty much everything. It's given me everything that I have, personally and professionally. When I got out of school, I did not have a job. Nobody was really getting jobs. 1983 was kind of tough economic times. A lot of people don't realize how bad it was. This was Reagan's first term. It was not good from an economic point of view. Jobs were tough. And I remember when I interviewed, you just couldn't get a job. There was too many people looking for work and not enough jobs. But a buddy I played college baseball with asked me, he's like, do you have a job yet? And I'm like, no. And he's like, well, I can get you a job. Come on over. And his name's Jeff Evans. Jeff Evans is still in this industry. Jeff Evans is like a sales manager or general manager in this trade. So anyway, I got this job with a company called Magic Chef Air Conditioning. And in the interview, they asked me, what do you know about, the air conditioning
Wasn't
business?
that a brand of equipment, Magic Chef?
Magic Chef was a privately owned company that made appliances, and air conditioning was one of the divisions.
Gotcha.
So mostly it was microwaves, Admiral refrigeration, so forth. It's since been consolidated, but the guy asked me, he's like, what do you know about air conditioning? No clue. He's like, well, the tall ones are furnaces, the short ones are air conditioners. Seem like a good dude. Let's bring you in. So for me, it was my career start, and I just obviously I'm in the retail side now, and I'm in a different place than working for the manufacturers, but it's created wealth. It's created prosperity for my family. It's put 3 kids through educations. They basically, are in a position in life that most people don't get that opportunity. And so
And by the way, your wealth isn't just in the consulting side. You owned, bought, and sold many HVAC companies.
That's true.
You made a lot of money on that contracting side.
Absolutely, absolutely. But it's all part of that industry,
Yeah.
and so the industry is it's a great place because you can make a lot of money, and I think you can have time and money freedom, wealth, and
If you do it right.
if you do it right. And so for me, it's been special. And I'll tell you, the best part for me is I got to meet some of the greatest people on the planet, and I just tell you that this
Aw.
industry
Talking about you and me.
is pretty awesome. So I can't imagine working in any other trade. I love it.
We got to meet a pretty special little bald guy ourselves.
Yeah. I love you, brother.
Love you, brother. For me, it's been everything too. 16, 17 years ago, living in a homeless shelter, I read this ad that Drew, I didn't know Drew at the time, but Drew had put this ad in the local newspaper, the sports section. And it was like not a quarter page, I want to say maybe an eighth of a page ad. Big ad though.
Big ad.
And didn't say anything about HVAC, but like, are you motivated? Can you sell? Can you talk to people? Blah, 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 blah. 6-figure opportunity, company vehicle, blah, 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 vehicle allowance, blah, benefits, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, man, I could use something like that.
Pretty good.
I've been in the shelter for 6 months trying to find a job. And it's really interesting because I went in there and interviewed. I was completely straight with Drew about my record and everything. Didn't try to hide it from him. And turns out I was number 3 on their list, but they were only hiring 2 guys. Turns out the number 2 guy had also been in some trouble and wasn't really honest with him about it. So when they called him to hire Winston, Winston Dennis loved him to death. He's like a brother. Winston couldn't take the job because he hadn't been truthful about that. So after Winston didn't return the call after a couple of weeks, they called me back. I was their 3rd choice, but I got the opportunity. And never looked back, man. And a lot of appreciation for this guy right here. And gave me that shot. And it's, like you say, everything in my life I have is because of this industry. It's been very generous to me, very forgiving.
You're
guy.
like Tom Brady. You were the 3rd choice. He was the 6th round draft pick, but you're both Hall of Famers.
That's me.
You're in the Hall of Fame.
I am? Aw.
No, it's not to kind of be redundant as to obviously what you two said, but I mean, yeah, everything, right? It means everything. I mean, I've been in this business since I was 12. Came home from swim team practice and would jump on a truck and just be a pair of hands, and have worked in every facet of this business except being a service tech. I was an installer, but was never a service tech. But yeah, I guess to add on to what you guys said, one of the coolest things is not just that we get to meet some really great people, obviously, people that we network with around the industry and whatnot, people whose homes we go into, but for me, I guess, especially now, being the trainer, the coach, the consultant, and even thinking about why I do what I do, it's the impact that I get to make in people's lives, whether it's being instrumental in hiring them and giving an opportunity that they then make the most of, right?
Yeah.
You parlayed that. I gave you an opportunity. You seized the opportunity. Or that we can go into a house and solve a problem, make a difference in someone's life. Maybe the kid suffers from allergies or asthma and can't get any sleep, and you go in there and you do some things that either everybody else ignored or no one else knew what to do, and you make that impact and you solve that problem and you make that impact in that customer's life. And so that's really cool for me, is that I get to hire guys that now go do that, or I get to work with companies and I make an impact in the employees that I work with or the owners of those companies, because I've got some people right now that I'm working with. I've not only helped impact their business with what we do, my business partner Russ and I, but I've noticed some things like you were saying a little bit earlier about what's going on in their marriage, what's going on in their relationships with their kids or their health. And I've referred them to people or even coached them a little bit myself to help put them on a different path.
Yeah.
Where they've improved their marriage, they've improved that relationship with their kid, or they've addressed their health because of something. And hey, if you can make an impact in this world and still make money and have fun like we do, then it makes it all worthwhile.
It's funny, after you hired me, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 months later, I'm making some money. Ended up meeting a girl, moving in with her, and I went down to treat myself to a Harley Davidson and drove down to Pueblo, Colorado, and bought a 2003 anniversary edition Fat Boy. And I brought it back home and I called you. You may not remember this, maybe you do. And I said, man, I just got me this motorcycle. And the first thing you asked me is, you said, Now, wait a minute. Did you just happen to buy a motorcycle, or did you make it an express goal to get that Harley? And I said, it was a goal, man. I used to sit on the penitentiary thinking, man, I'm going to get me a motorcycle one day, and I'm going to ride like the wind blowing through my hair. That didn't work out, but the rest of it worked out.
I haven't had that dream.
It's a pretty special industry, and I got to tell you, man, it's a kick in the pants getting to work with two guys that I've respected, admired for many years. The guy that brought me into the industry. Remember, I tried to hire you in 2007. I couldn't afford you in my HVAC company. Still can't afford you.
I do remember that.
Still can't afford you. Now you bring me whiskey from Canada.
You don't have to afford me. I mean, I come here and talk to you for free.
It brings
Get to hang
expensive
out
whiskey.
here. This is great.
It is a neat little thing, this little fraternity that we've got, where we've all kind of come together for the greater good.
It's a kick in the pants. I love you both, man. Appreciate all you do.
I got a question for you guys. So, Drew, you made a pretty cool point about working with people. The psychology of just getting somebody to sort of see the ability to set goals, and then, maybe establish a dream or something that's beyond what they were thinking. And I guess I'm curious to how you two guys, have approached that, and just how you've seen that as not just a problem, but an opportunity to coach, a business owner who's focused, got their head down, doing the work, basically making a living, and then getting them into a position where they can think about the business actually becoming something that's more. So instead of working in the business, they can start working on the business.
Yeah, that's a great question. The chic phrase today is start with why, right? Simon Sinek in the book and the video and whatnot. But anybody can teach you what to do, maybe even teach you how to do it. But if there's not the motivation of the why, if it doesn't become, I think you talk about it in some of your presentations, a deep seed burning desire that becomes part of your DNA, right? Are you going to do it when it becomes hard? Are you going to do what's necessary? And that's,
You want it this much, or do you want it this much?
yeah. A lot of contractors are in business, like you say, by default, not by design. They worked for somebody else. My dad, right? That's how he got in the business. He worked for somebody else, thought he could do something different, better, offer a higher level of service. And I've carried that mantra, forward to this day: different, better, more. Be something different, better, more. Why? Because you can and you should, and people deserve that. That's what they want. Whatever you have in life, you always want something different, better, and more.
Right.
And so going into these contractors, it's interesting how many of them don't even think about why they're doing what they're doing. And they beat themselves up and put themselves through a lot of headache and heartache in their business and in their lives, and they don't know what they're working for. And when you go in there and you ask them, why do you do what you do? And they have to actually think about it, they don't really have an answer right away. But when they think about it a little bit,
Help to find that answer.
yeah, then whatever plan we can put together for them becomes meaningful. And they'll do what is necessary, because now they have that motivating. They got that why. They've got that, I call it the goby, right? You got to get out of bed. You need that get out of bed reason, because if you don't have a get out of bed reason, it's like, oh, I got to go to work again.
Right.
And so why do we jump on planes? Why do we fly and stay in hotels and eat crappy food and stuff like that and are away from our families? It's not glamorous, I'll tell you that.
It's a calling.
It's a calling.
Remember when I met Dr. Covey, Stephen Covey wrote The 7 Habits, very influential in my life. And when he endorsed my first book, we had a meeting, and he gave me a hug, and he put his hand on my heart, his right hand, and he repeated 3 times, "You have a divine destiny. You have a divine destiny. You have a divine destiny." That picture in my office is from that night with me and him. And I asked him, I said, "Dr. Covey, what does that mean?" He said, "You in this story, people got to know, no matter how far down you've gone, you can come back if you're willing to do the work and apply the principles." And I've always taken that admonition very seriously. Having a divine destiny. Just one thing I wanted to add too, that I know we've all produced crazy results for contractors, but we have such an advantage because when we come in, we have the ability to see the forest instead of just the trees, and we have focus. Like, we can focus on certain issues. They're all, I had a client recently tell me, man, he goes, you're such a process guy. And I'm like, it's because I come in here, that's all I have to do. is work on the processes. You guys are so caught up in the day in, day out, and so we have a unique advantage, but it just goes to show the power of focus, power of process. It's good stuff. Well, cheers, guys.
I'd like to propose a little toast.
Beautiful.
Thank EGIA
Yes.
and Bruce Matulich, EGI.
I think it's Madeline.
Matulich. Well, I can.
Here's to you, Bruce. Hey, Bruce on a plane right now somewhere.
I can defend that because
Western.
I've had a little bit of this 18-year whiskey, and I'm a lightweight. But I would like to thank EGIA for putting us in a position to scale the opportunity to help those contractors.
That's a good point.
I think that's kind of
because
the
EGI
cool
has
part.
given us all a much larger reach.
Because
Absolutely.
we can do more together than any one of us can do on our own.
Bruce's vision in terms of a nonprofit focusing on contractor development has given us all a deeper reach, broader reach. So to Bruce.
So here's to Bruce.
Yeah.
Here's to EGIA.
And EJ and the
And to you. And to you. And to Drew.
Matulich.
Matulich.